ChatGPT, relate ACIM to the movie Room through the lens of A Course in Miracles, ACIM. Room is a deeply moving story about imprisonment, perception, identity, freedom, healing, and the journey from limitation into a vastly expanded awareness. Through the lens of A Course in Miracles, ACIM, it becomes a powerful metaphor for the sleeping mind that mistakes a tiny fragment of reality for the whole and then gradually awakens to a larger truth. At its heart, the movie asks, what happens when the world we believe in is not the whole picture? ACIM answers, awakening begins when we question the reality we have accepted as true. The room as the ego's world. For much of the story, the room is the entire world. It defines reality, it defines possibility, it defines identity. ACIM teaches that the ego constructs a tiny, limited perception of reality and then convinces us that it is all that exists. The room beautifully symbolizes this closed thought system. The prison of perception. The greatest prison in the film is not physical confinement. It is the belief that the confinement is reality itself. ACIM teaches that the world we perceive is a perceptual prison built from beliefs. Freedom begins when the mind becomes willing to question its assumptions. The movie powerfully reflects this process. Awakening can feel frightening. When the possibility of a larger world emerges, it is not immediately welcomed. It is confusing, overwhelming, disorienting. ACIM teaches that awakening often feels unsettling because the ego fears the loss of its familiar framework. It beautifully illustrates this transition. Beyond the known, the child must learn that reality is far greater than he imagined. ACIM teaches that awakening requires moving beyond the limits of what the senses report. The movie repeatedly points toward a reality larger than the one previously accepted. Healing the mind. Physical freedom does not immediately bring peace. There are emotional wounds, adjustments, old fears. ACIM teaches that healing is ultimately a change of mind rather than a change of circumstances. The movie beautifully reflects this deeper process, the power of love. Throughout the story, love remains a constant. Protection, nurturing, devotion, connection. ACIM teaches that love is the only reality that survives every appearance of separation. The movie beautifully demonstrates this truth. Releasing old identity. The transition into a larger world requires letting go of old definitions, old beliefs, old perceptions. ACIM teaches that awakening involves releasing the self-concepts we have made. The movie repeatedly illustrates this process. Seeing differently. One of the most profound moments occurs when what once seemed enormous is seen from a new perspective. The room itself changes meaning. ACIM teaches that miracles are shifts in perception. The movie beautifully symbolizes this transformation. Freedom is internal. The story ultimately points beyond physical circumstances. True freedom is not merely escaping a room. It is releasing the mental structures that define and limit perception. ACIM teaches that freedom is a state of mind. The movie powerfully reflects this lesson. The central reflection. The ego watches Room and asks, how can I escape my limitations? How can I become safe? What if the world is frightening? The Holy Spirit watches Room and asks, am I willing to discover that reality is far greater than I imagined? Viewed through ACIM, the movie becomes a profound allegory of awakening from a limited perception of reality. The room symbolizes the ego's tiny kingdom of separation. The larger world symbolizes the expanding awareness that comes through healing. The deepest message may be, the ego teaches that the small world it has constructed is all that exists. The Holy Spirit gently reveals a reality far beyond those limits. Awakening can feel disorienting at first, but every step beyond fear reveals a greater freedom. What once seemed like the whole world is eventually recognized as only a tiny room within the vastness of love. Go to mwge.org to find mystical quotes and a brief write-up by David Hoffmeister.